Hey guys, welcome back to Eccentric Travel Adventures. Today we're talking about identification and documentation needed to embark and disembark a cruise. We are focusing on U.S. closed-loop cruises, which are cruises that embark and disembark right here in the U.S. Very different from one-way cruises like transatlantic cruises or other types of cruises. They will have different documentation requirements for those type of cruises, transatlantic as well as world cruises. So they'll have different requirements from what we're talking about here. We are specifically going to focus on closed loop US cruises. So they start and then they come back to what they started here in the US. So first thing to remember is that every cruise line has their own specific set of requirements for documentation for you to board, for you to embark and disembark. So please make sure, do your research, find out what the requirements are for your exact itinerary and for your exact situation, for your exact sailing. I'm just going to give you my opinions and what I've learned from research and what I've gone through myself and my family. This is in no way, shape, or form bypassing you doing your own research and confirming what you need to do. So there are different requirements depending on each cruise line, your country of passport issuance, and the ports or the itinerary your cruise will visit. And another option is to reach out and ask your trusty travel agent, travel advisor for help, for guidance, research, figuring out what you need so that you can have a smooth embarkation and disembarkation. Most travel agents will help you out and do research, send you all of the info of what is required, but it is still up to you to check and double check what is required because you ultimately will be responsible. But if you reach out and ask, most agents will be happy to help you do some research and send over what is required for your specific line, your specific itinerary. If anyone here watching needs any help on a specific itinerary that you have planned and you don't have an agent, you can definitely feel free to reach out to me. Everything will be linked, all of my different ways to contact me, email, you can comment here, and I can do my absolute best to help you out. It's all very confusing with documentation. Even if you have done it previously, requirements are often, most certainly, always changing, and it is best to do up-to-date research to figure out what documentation is needed and required because these things change all the time. Real ID or birth certificate or passport, visa, it's just all very complicated and you don't want to have the wrong documentation and you don't want to be denied boarding to your cruise that you've paid for. So the basics of documentation needed for your cruise is that you have to do two things: prove your identity and also your citizenship. So the easiest thing to use for this would be your passport, if you have one. It proves both identification as well as your citizenship, so it's like a 2-in-1. So definitely recommend, excuse me guys, definitely recommend getting your passport and using that if it's available. You will need to have either 3 or 6 months valid on your passport to use it. So be sure to double check your dates. Make sure your passport will be valid for your trip. If you do not have a passport and you are a U.S. citizen, you can also travel with your birth certificate. And you also have to have your government issued photo identification card as well. And so you're proving your identity with your ID, government issued ID. You're proving your citizenship with your birth certificate. If you are not a U.S. passport holder, you may need to get a visa or multiple visas. You should definitely check directly with your cruise line or your travel agent to help you find out what, if any, visas you may or may not need for the countries that you will visit on your cruise, as well as to get back into the U.S. if you're not a citizen of the U.S. So, depending on what country you are a passport holder of, you may be able to not have to worry about a visa. It's called the Visa Waiver Program, VWP. If you are on holiday here in the US for 90 days or less, and also from specific countries, you'll have to check with the cruise line. You may be able to fill out what's called an ESTA, Electronic System for Travel Authorization. You'll need to do this for each member of your party or your family, and definitely bring a printed copy with you on embarkation day, just to make sure everything goes smoothly. So you'll have to check. So again, you'll have to check all of these requirements with your cruise line, with your travel agent. They'll definitely be able to help you out. The cruise website is a great resource to start with. You can call customer service with your questions. If you have, any mix-ups, you don't quite understand what the website says, definitely a travel agent can definitely help you. Or reach out to me. I'm a travel agent, and I can help and I can assist. Even if I didn't do your booking, I can do my best to help, and whatnot. So reach out if you need me to help. If you are a permanent resident, you can use your green card as your identification. But you will also need a passport as well. So you will need the actual card and no photocopies of the green card. Actually, they don't take any photocopies of any of your identification, just have the actual documents there. Also, if you are not a green card holder, but you are a U.S. citizen and you do not have your passport, you can take your naturalization certificate. Again, having more documentation is better than not having enough. So say if you had a green card, you applied for your citizenship, you have your citizenship, but you don't have your passport yet, you can just take your naturalization certificate. Just a side note, just get your passport as soon as you're eligible. So that would mean you're eligible for a U.S. passport, but you don't have one yet. And so you'll actually still need to prove your citizenship. Okay, and then also, if you're a non-U.S. citizen and do not have a green card, you can travel with your home country's passport and will most likely need additional travel documentation like visas or travel permits or any documentation like that. Again, please remember to check directly with your cruise line for your specific scenario and questions. They'll be able to help you figure out exactly what you need for your itinerary and your specific situation. Remember that your name on your travel documentation has to match what is on your cruise booking. You can't have different names, they won't know it's you. So, documentation has to match. Side note, if you have been recently married or divorced and you have, a name discrepancy there, your documentation needs to match the name on your cruise booking. So be sure to double check all your documentation just to make sure that you have everything correct. You may need to bring proof of your name change if things don't match completely. You'll need to bring proof, which could be like a divorce decree or a marriage license or something like that to prove that that's you. Again, more documentation, like bring more is always good. You definitely don't want to be left at the port and denied boarding. All right, okay guys, I think that's enough talk on documentation. Like, subscribe, let me know in the comments, thoughts, questions. If you have any other ideas, suggestions, or anything else. All right, bye for now.